Hello everyone. Over thousands of years of history, humans have created many weapons with incredible power to fight against enemy invasion. They can be primitive tools, modern equipment, but they can also be strange weapons that we never thought of. In this video, please join us to learn about 12 of the most unusual and dangerous weapons in human history. 1. The man-catcher, the medieval human trap. A truly bizarre yet functional invention, the man-catcher was a pole weapon with a semicircular pronged head, designed not to kill but to trap. Originating in Europe during the Middle Ages, it was primarily used to detain high-ranking individuals, especially during riots or battles. The weapon's head was often spring-loaded or padded to avoid lethal damage, allowing the user to hook the target by the neck or limbs and drag them off a horse or out of hiding. This tool wasn't a gentle restraint, it was a brutal instrument of capture, often scraping armor or bruising flesh. Its design reflects a time when capturing nobles for ransom was more valuable than killing them, turning warfare into a cruel form of profit-making. 2. The Chuko-Nu, ancient China's rapid-fire crossbow. Centuries before the invention of modern firearms, Chinese engineers developed the Chuko-Nu, a repeating crossbow capable of firing multiple bolts in rapid succession. Invented during the Warring States period and refined over dynasties, it allowed even lightly trained soldiers to unleash a flurry of projectiles within seconds. Though its range and power were inferior to single-shot crossbows, its sheer volume of fire made it ideal for siege defense and ambushes. Operated by pushing and pulling a lever, this weapon paved the way for semi-automatic firing mechanisms and engineering marvel in ancient times that instilled terror in approaching enemies. 3. The Yarumi, the Indian whip sword of chaos. A fearsome blend of sword and whip, the Yarumi is perhaps one of the most unpredictable weapons ever created. Originating in southern India, this flexible, coiled blade could reach lengths of up to 5 meters, and was made of thin, whip-like metal. When wielded by a master, it could slice through multiple enemies with a single spinning motion. However, it demanded extraordinary skill, as even a slight miscalculation could cause the weapon to recoil and wound its user. Often used in the Indian martial art Kalaripayattu, the Yarumi remains a deadly symbol of both discipline and destruction. 4. The Macuahuitl, Aztec wooden sword with obsidian teeth. This uniquely brutal weapon was wielded by the Aztecs and other Mesoamerican civilizations. Shaped like a large wooden paddle or club, the Macuahuitl was embedded along its edges with razor-sharp obsidian blades, volcanic glass that could rival surgical steel in sharpness. It could decapitate a man or horse with a single blow. More than a mere weapon, the Macuahuitl was a cultural tool used not only for killing, but for capturing enemies alive for ritual sacrifice. Spanish conquistadors were shocked at its effectiveness, and even their steel armor was no guaranteed protection. 5. The lantern shield, the Swiss army knife of the Renaissance. This multi-purpose oddity combined a buckler, a gauntlet, and a lantern holder into one. Used in the 16th and 17th centuries, particularly in Italy, it allowed duelists to fight at night while shielding their hand and dazzling opponents with sudden flashes of light. Some versions came equipped with hidden spikes, daggers, and even spring-loaded blades, making it both a defensive and offensive tool. Its complexity was both its strength and weakness. While offering versatility, it also required precise coordination, making it more suitable for showy duels than battlefield chaos. 6. The Hwacha, Korea's rocket arrow launcher. A terrifying precursor to modern rocket artillery, the Hwacha was a Korean invention from the 15th century. This cart-mounted weapon could fire up to 200 rocket-propelled arrows at once, turning battlefields into infernos. Used effectively against Japanese invasions during the Imjin War, the Hwacha combined psychological warfare with physical devastation. The sound of hundreds of flaming arrows screaming through the sky and raining down on enemy troops would cause panic before even the first arrow hit. It was one of the most effective anti-infantry weapons of its time, designed to maximize carnage with minimal engagement. 7. The nest of bees, Chinese handheld rocket pod. Another terrifying ancient innovation, the nest of bees was a multiple rocket launcher used in China. Named for its beehive-like container, it held dozens of small rocket arrows, each capable of causing fires or piercing armor. Typically fired by igniting the fuses simultaneously, this weapon created a chaotic spray of destruction. Though lacking modern accuracy, it overwhelmed enemies with sheer volume and spectacle. Like the Wacha, it turns siege warfare into an art of fire and fury. 8. The Shotel, the Ethiopian sickle sword. Used by ancient Ethiopian warriors, especially during the Aksumite and Abyssinian eras, the Shotel was a deeply curved blade designed to bypass shields and gut enemies with a hooking motion. It resembled a sickle and was deadly in close combat. Its unique design allowed the user to reach around an opponent's guard and land fatal blows. Shotel wielders often carried a second weapon and trained to disarm or unbalance enemies with their curved strikes. This sickle sword was not only effective but also symbolized Ethiopian martial prowess and identity. 9. The fire lance, the first gunpowder weapon. Originating in China in the 10th century, the fire lance began as a spear with a bamboo or metal tube attached near the blade. When ignited, it would blast flames, shrapnel, or pellets at close range, essentially a flamethrower and shotgun hybrid. It marked the transition from traditional melee weapons to firearms, and although its effectiveness was limited to close quarters, it changed the nature of warfare. It terrified enemies not only with its blast but with the smoke, sound, and sudden flash, a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. 10. The Katar, the Indian punch dagger. The Katar is a traditional Indian weapon characterized by its H-shaped horizontal hand grip and wide, triangular blade. Unlike conventional knives, it was held with the blade aligned to the forearm, allowing the user to punch straight into the enemy. Some versions had spring-loaded mechanisms that expanded into 3 blades upon impact, turning a stab into a fatal tearing wound. Highly symbolic and often richly decorated, Katars were a staple in Rajput and Mughal arsenals, combining elegance with raw killing power. 11. The Jua, the Chinese iron claw. One of the strangest hand weapons in history, the Jua was essentially a large metal claw, designed to tear through armor and flesh. Its sharp iron talons could hook into an opponent's body or weapon, rip apart mail, and even pull down riders from horseback. Some accounts suggest it was used by guards and elite warriors in ancient Chinese armies. Beyond combat, it may have been a tool of psychological warfare, intimidating enemies with its grotesque, animal-like form. 12. The chained meteor hammer, the art of controlled mayhem. Used in ancient Chinese martial arts, the meteor hammer was a pair of heavy weights connected by a long chain or rope. When swung with precision, it could break bones, entangle weapons, or smash through defenses. In skilled hands, the meteor hammer was graceful and terrifying, a dancing weapon of centrifugal force. It demanded absolute control, as a mistimed swing could easily injure the wielder. Its unpredictable motion made it hard to counter, and its use was as much performance as it was battle.